Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracey.
And I am Carol.
And we are my
Outlander
Purgatory.
We are according. Oh, wait, I
I
shouldn't
thought
say
you.
that.
Wait, what? We're recording?
I was going to say we're the Outlanders Purgatory.
Oh. No, I said that. I said that before.
Told us last week.
Oh, I know. I told you that
You
before.
guys suck. Ignore my lipstick. Honey Badger don't care.
What's in there, Carol?
Takes what it wants.
It takes what it wants.
A little Dunkin' decaf, a little Truvia, and maybe a little Tom. What am I drinking? A little Bushmills.
Breaking
and,
out the good stuff.
and a little whipped cream.
Breaking out the good stuff because we're in a celebratory mood around Purgatory because Thomas is home. Da, 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 da. Carol, why don't you fill us in?
Today is the first day that I'm in my house. I'm not in another state. I'm not in the hospital. I'm not in my car driving 2 hours one way.
You're not going this way. You're not going that way.
And this way. And that way. So everybody else, enough about me. You guys are so awesome. Your comments. Tom's like, they're so awesome. I can't even tell you. It really helps. I have not, I'll tell you what, life's been crazy, but I've been like looking and here, there, but like I haven't seen everything yet. So when like on Saturday, although there's a pancake breakfast, on Saturday, I'm going to just sit down with my computer and a cup of coffee and like read through everything. And it just is so nice. And the thing that always kills me, and Tracey, this isn't just me, like this should really, I'm sure affects you too. When people say they had cancer and we helped. Oh my God.
I
like,
know.
I can't even comprehend that people like that we were, that makes my day. I can't even tell you how happy that makes me that we could help somebody.
Well, I mean, like you posted, and I can post it in the video too. There's a little video. Well, tell the story. Like when it happens you were at University of Pennsylvania, doing the treatment there. That's
in the radiation department. And if you don't know this, which I never knew until Tom went through it, they have a bell when you get radiation. And after your final radiation treatment, you go and you ring the bell.
It's a big bell too. It's like the Liberty Bell, being at Penn.
It is in Philadelphia, which, hello, the University Hospital of Pennsylvania was started by, I believe, Ben Franklin.
I think so.
And one Peggy Shippen's uncle, I believe his name was William, was a doctor there back in the day.
Oh, boy.
So it's, honest to God, you guys, if you're into the American Revolution, if you watch Turn, if you watch any of these shows, it's just fascinating when you're there. I'm in awe of that place. Tracey, I don't know if I've told you this, but it is just such an amazing institution of learning.
I love Penn campus. I mean, I haven't had much chance to hang out at the hospital, thank goodness.
Yes.
But the Penn campus I've been to, I mean, I toured the Penn campus back in the day when I was a little senior in high school.
Yeah.
I chose not to go there, but whatever.
I've already driven Keelan through campus. My kids have been to the bookstore. I didn't even get to go because I'm always at the Perelman Center. But it's an awesome, awesome place. And it just, you realize how small you are when you go to this place and you meet some of these people who just have brains the size of this house.
Well, and it was just like, that's what I was going to say. Like, like more people than I thought, including people that I know, were like, oh, yeah, I know that bell. Like, my husband, brother, sister, mother, father, like rang that bell. Like, oh, I've spent a lot of time there. Or my friend Diane was like, do you know this nurse, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. Yes, I saw that. And I didn't. She wanted to know if I knew, I don't remember her name.
Velma or something?
Like Velma or something. We love Brenda. Brenda was our friend there in scheduling. But
yeah, everybody was just like, the comments are just so lovely. And yeah, like, just all these people who've been through the same thing, and it just really does make you feel better, whether you're like Carol, the primary caregiver, or whether it's somebody in your family, like me, like I'm going through it as my brother-in-law. But just to know that, like, you're not alone, and so many people have been through the same thing, and it sucks, but everybody knows you're going to get through it. It's really comforting. So you guys are awesome, and I say Schlanjava to you with my glass of...
Yes,
Tracy,
this
week's Chardonnay is called Cruza Allah. It is an Argentinian wine.
Ooh.
It would make more sense if it was like, Jamaican or Portuguese. We should have had how did we not think to do like pina coladas for this?
Oh,
that was really
You know
stupid.
What? I'll tell you how, Tracy. If I make it through alive and awake for this, you guys, look at this. I mean, no sleep, zero sleep, not complaining because you all have your situations out there too. And I know a lot of people don't get a lot of sleep, but this has been a tough week for me and it's catching up with me today. So I am like, if I can keep it together and be awake at the end of this video, it's all good.
I know.
And I'm also a little hot. Is this a little hot flash?
Oh, Carol, have you started those yet?
I just get hot sometimes. I don't really get like a second long, a 10-second, get in the freezer.
That's going to have to be a discussion for like the other podcast that we do someday, like during Outlander, when we just do like a normal podcast where it's this, but all the time.
Yeah.
But this is not what that's about. What this podcast is about.
Yeah.
This podcast is about Outlander.
Yeah. Tonight, I'm going to agree with whoever said we need to STF you in the beginning because we need to just get going. And you guys, I apologize. Tracy did 2 viewings and notes, and I did 1 viewing and no notes this week. So I'm going to try my best. I have plenty to say right off the top of my head.
I will drive the train, but Carol will be hopping on and off the train frequently as she's wont to do.
Especially when we get to Lord John.
Wait, okay, shall we do our review lesson right now or hold it off till later in the podcast?
What do you mean?
Our review lesson of last week, we learned what the term AF means. Let's use it in a sentence this week. Lord John
is hot
AF.
It's wrong. It is wrong. You just sit there the whole time like this.
I can't take my eyes off him. I can't. He's like James Marsden meets early Thelma and Louise era Brad Pitt.
I already said this. Meets Rob Lowe.
Meets Rob Lowe. All wrapped up into one piece of delicious goodness.
Oh my! Those eye happenings in this episode between the 2 of them, between the 3 of them.
That was so fantastic. Gosh. I don't know what to do with myself.
Holy cow!
So great.
Oh my gosh. And you know what else? Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but I was so happy they did it because they changed everything. And when I was reading that book, I was reading over my posts today. It was very awkward. I was very uncomfortable because honestly, as a reader, you didn't really know, like, is Jamie, like, what's happening here when you're reading this? So
don't really spoil anything.
I won't. Put it this way. You're still reeling from Blackjack Randall. So you're still, even though it's book 3, you're still like the end of Outlander. Book 1 was like horrific. So now you're going, wait a minute. What? So I was so happy that even though they changed it and they mentioned Willie earlier in the season, that they still had that awkward, that angst, that confusion. I love that. It was
without
perfect.
Really spoiling stuff. There's a moment at this governor's ball.
Not spoiling. You're not spoiling. They didn't.
And it's in the book. If you decide to read the book, maybe you want to know how it's different, or you don't want to know how it's different. There's like a moment that Claire kind of senses, like, what the hell is going on here? And I think that there was every bit of that moment in this episode. But instead of Claire walking in on Jamie, like embracing Laura John, like, oh my God, oh, thank you. It's this kind of look.
Yes. Because you have to remember, that from Jamie's standpoint, this is my very good friend who, ultimately who helped me. I mean, I could have ended up in a different place if it weren't for him. Number one, and number two, who's raising my son, who I haven't seen in years.
Right.
So for Jamie's point of view, it's this reverence,
right, and respect and gratitude.
Yes, and just, he can't even measure the gratitude. And from Lord John's point of view, it's
Jamie is hot AF.
and he's so good at it. This is a man in real life. I read up on a little bit, read up on him. He's married with kids, like this guy. But I'm buying this. What an actor! I'm buying this book.
You are buying what he is selling.
I was totally picking up what he was putting down. And Claire.
Oh my God! Well,
Claire is sitting there. She had such human reaction.
Yes.
She wasn't perfect for once. You know what I mean? Not that I have any problem with her perfection, but she was like the rest of us. She was doing what we would be doing, which is
the hell.
Yeah, a
little back off bitch with the eyes.
Oh yeah, so it was. Right.
But we will revisit all that because it was just so great. I don't even know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this episode 312, one more left. 312 is called the Bakra. Now, do you know what a Bakra is, Carol?
I don't, Tracey. Please inform me.
Well, I actually was very curious. The first time I watched this was about 11:30 last night on my iPad when I was in my bed. So I think I slept through the last third of it. But I do remember Bakra thinking okay, I have to figure that out. And I don't remember if that's in the book. But anyway.
Baklava?
The baklava. No, it's not a good word. When you find out what it means, you're like, oh, that's not a good word. So I think this is from Urban Dictionary. A Bakra is a slave master or oppressor. The etymology is, and this makes total sense, but it's very sad, back raw, which he bestowed with a whip.
Let me tell you something.
That's what the Bakra is called. But wait, let me just read the rest of it. The Bakra or Bakra master in the Jamaican patios, I don't know what that is, refers to a slave master and or slave driver. It is also often used in reference to performing unpleasant or involuntary tasks for a demanding person, often in jest. So that's from Urban Dictionary. So now we've learned 2 urban terms in a row each week. AF and now Bakra.
This is probably the second time in the history of Outlander on Starz that I seriously was like, can I watch this? Can I sit here and watch this? From, as I just mentioned, Blackjack Randall, those situations in season 1, and those boys behind those bars, I lost my shiz inside my head. I was like, I would have been Claire. I was sitting there like, Claire, shut up, Claire, shut up. But I don't think I would have been able to stand there being from the 21st century and watch this.
Right. I loved her. I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I loved her when, I forget who the guy was that gave her the parasol and was like, you'll blend in more like this if you've got this parasol. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to blend in to any of this. So suck it. Yeah. She was just like, get me away from this. No. They
really did an amazing job at making you feel it, at putting you in that time period, putting you in that situation in front of one of those sales. Oh.
Right. And it was just so matter of fact. It was so the people there were so matter of fact, well, he can't work the fields. He's lame or whatever. What the hell? Well, he's a great breeder. Well, how do I know that? They're buying a cow or something.
Or a breeder, like a puppy mill. I I was a mess at that part, which I think it says a lot about this episode, the fact that we are jumping all over the place, like we're jumping ahead because we just have to, we got to get it out.
I have to say too, like this is one thing that this part of the book gets, like this episode is kind of all over the place. I liked it better the second time I watched it, but it is a little bit that the parts are maybe a little better than the whole, I think. But that's probably the book too. The book from this point on gets a little crazy. And it's kind of like jumping all over the place. And if anything, I think that this episode has kind of streamlined the book a little bit. Like there were parts of this episode that I was like, oh, that's so much simpler than how they do it in the book.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's also, even when it's a television show with 13 episodes in a season, it's not easy to put Gabaldon on the screen.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
it's just... These books are long. She's so detail oriented. So, it's very difficult not to be kind of jumpy. I have no problem with that. I have to say this was one of my favorite episodes. I just loved it.
I think that a lot of people are complaining about this season, that like it's not, I mean, there are legitimate complaints, I think, about the characters. Specifically Jamie, but I've had complaints like that since season 1, since suicidal Jamie. Yeah. Remember, if you recall that I went off the rails on that, and like Jamie who, like post-traumatic stress Jamie, which, whatever, but Jamie who like couldn't friggin' get it up until he realized that Blackjack Randall was still alive and he could kill him. Then it was like, ooh, come on, Claire, hop on pop. Like all of that, I was like, no. So Jamie of this season, it was just kind of piling on the like Jamie that's the TV Jamie as opposed to the book Jamie.
Who is this masked man?
Right. But the fact is that these books are kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of stuff. They're not easy adaptations at all. If they were easy adaptations, they would have been adapted like long time ago. Mm-hmm. So people have to kind of suck it up, Buttercup. Like, you're not going to get everything that you want.
Right.
We were talking about this last week a little bit. Like, one of my favorite parts is just when Jamie and Claire, basically it's this little conversation they have where Jamie's talking about like what he's not, like what Claire doesn't want him to do to her or something like that. And, and how she's like, I don't react that way. And he's like, oh, really? You wouldn't react that way if I did this? And then if I did that? And he like describes all the things he would do and how she wouldn't react. And it's really hot, and it's one of my favorite scenes. It's not going to be in the book. It's not going to be in the show. And that's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. Because we can't have everything. Okay.
I'm not going to say because I can't. Maybe it'll show up in the last episode. I can't remember my little scene that I want. I just know I'll tell you guys next week, regardless whether it's there or not. But I just remember in the book being like, this is the greatest moment of my life. And I'll tell you what, there was something in this episode that might be like...
Any moment of Lord John?
I don't want to say it's my... Oh my God. They need Lord John in every episode, just like Father Fogden. There was something in this episode that I swear to you was just like one of the greatest scenes. I almost want to say, if not the greatest scene, but it didn't involve Jamie and Claire, so I really can't say that.
Well, all right. Well, we'll get to it. Okay. So our writer is Luke Shielhaus, and our director is Charlotte Brandstrom. I always want to say Charlotte Bronte, so maybe we should just call her that. They've written and directed before in the season, so I forget which one Luke Shielhaus did. I kind of think maybe he did one we didn't like so much.
I wish I apologize to all of you writers and directors because I don't pay enough attention to that. But you know what? I don't want to pay attention. I don't want to think about. I give praise to all of them for.
Look, yes, I agree.
But I just want to see it like you're talking about the sum of its parts. I just want to see Outlander. Let's
put it this way. If people are always like, that's a new writer, so they don't know how to write for like Jamie. If you think, like, what do you think this is? Do you think they just, like, dash off a script and, like, hand it to Sam Heughan and he goes and films it? No! That goes, like, through all sorts of reviews. And, like, I'm sure that Ron Moore reads every script. And I'm sure that Tony Graffia reads every script, and Matt Roberts reads every script, and the Starz people, Chris Parnell or whoever.
I think
these scripts are read 3 weeks to Sunday.
I think they need some.
Clearly, Sam reads them and weighs in on them.
Yeah, well,
did I
don't get me started on that.
Sorry, Sam. I still love you.
On the one hand, I appreciate when the actors have some, definitely they should have say. I appreciate that, especially if they've read the books. But I feel like there should be some, honest to God, you guys, I'm not kidding, because I know I'm going to sound like I'm kidding. There should be some expert fan input. And maybe there is, and we just don't know about it. And I'm not trying to sell for Tracey and me, but I think I've earned it.
We're not trying to ask you to send us to Scotland.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, put it this way. I know that George R.R. Martin, I've read about that couple he consults with multiple times about how there's this couple that they know Game of Thrones so well that he can't remember, like, did I write it this way or did
that? Diana absolutely. Diana does that.
And well, there have been times, you guys, long before the show ever came along, where I know Tracey and I have mentioned this before. I can think of one thing in particular that I got to it in a later book, and the way Diana described it in the later book, we're like, that's not how it happened. It was so misery. It was so, it was like, what's her name? How can I forget her name? She's amazing. Misery.
Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates.
It was like Kathy Bates, like, just had crawled out of my mouth. and I was like, and I called Tracey, this isn't how it happened. And the two of us were like, what the? And then people like said something on CompuServe or something. And Diana was like, look, I'm sorry, I forget. So the bottom line is that here's the deal. I just feel like in the show, even though people, I know Terry was a big fan. That's kind of how all this got started, but if you're attached to the show, you shouldn't be the fan consultant. You know what I'm saying? I feel like not that they shouldn't talk to Terry and say, hey, how did this happen? Whatever. And I don't mean to be putting this on Terry, because I don't know how many of these people are fans. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying there should be it's like believing your own press. It's like actors who after a while just are shielded from all of the negativity, and they get to be like to the point where they're not even living in our world anymore. That's kind of what I feel like with a show like this, not just Outlander, but any of these shows, that if it's based on a book series, maybe, get some opinions before you not. And here again, you can't do that all the time, clearly, because then you're going to have 5 million people having 5 million opinions. So you can't do that either. But do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I don't know that I agree with you 100%, because I kind of think, like, if you had like a fan forum that had to weigh in on every TV show episode, oy vey, nothing would ever get made. Not a forum.
Person or very small amount of people. Like, I love the George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones. It's like a couple, and they have everything in here.
But that's not like weighing in on. That's not an opinion-based thing. That's a factual-paced thing. Yeah. Like I said, I know Diana has that. Like, I know like, people read her drafts to find, like, oh no, that didn't happen in 1743. That happened in 1745.
Oh, no, that's not what I mean. That's
whatever.
Not what I mean.
And you're saying more like, Jamie wouldn't do that. Like, Jamie would do this.
Put it this way. Do you want fan backlash, or do you want to try and avoid it? You know what I mean? Like,
you're always going to get fan backlash. There is no way.
Think of whatever it is that had the fans up in arms the most.
Jamie didn't react to the Brianna pictures.
Now, could that have been fixed before it was filmed?
I think they may have tried to fix it. Jamie all of a sudden is like looking at the pictures in Ardsmuir, or not Ardsmuir, on the ship. Because, I mean, is that something that they...
What, do you think they ran back into to film that?
No, but maybe it was on the cutting room floor, and they decided to, like, I don't know. But no, you are never, especially with these books that have such a fervent fan base, you are never, ever going to get everybody to agree, or you're never going to please everybody. You're just not. You're not. I mean,
but don't you think a majority of people felt that way about that situation?
What,
and don't you think if they had known that going into it, they would have been like, yeah, sorry, you got to do it the way it says it in the script.
Maybe we should do a poll on Twitter. We'll take a poll to see.
Totally. Or I'll put one of those little polls on Mop.
We could do that too. But like just to see, because I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I know that we and people that follow us weren't thrilled with it, but I also saw a lot of opinions that were like, of course he wouldn't react because da 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 da. I thought it was great.
No, I'm sorry. Half of those, a huge percentage of those are either massive Sam Heughan fans who are going to fight to the death to defend him, number one, or just these people that like defend the show the same way. I was talking about this last week, and I'm just like, whoa, come on.
I'm not going to fault somebody for disagreeing with me. They can
That's not what I'm saying. This has nothing. This has nothing to do with me. This has to do with
with not sharing the opinion that I happen to have.
Let me tell you something. Look in your heart. What movie was that from?
I don't know.
Some people genuinely feel the way you were just saying, but some people, are you going to tell me that you haven't come across people who you're like, oh, come on, be real. Come on, be honest with yourself. You don't really feel that way. You're just, you're never going to disagree. You're never going to, whatever. Right. We could go on.
We're almost a half hour in and we haven't even started talking about the show yet.
Sorry. Maybe you should just cut that all out.
No, I think it's a good conversation. I think it's an interesting conversation to have, but okay. So we get a cold open again, and I am firmly 100%. If I had Ron Moore in the room right now, that's the question I would ask. Are you always going to do cold opens only when you're showing something that's already happened from a different point of view? Because we've had 3 cold opens this season, and they've all been the same event from somebody else's point of view.
Right.
So I find it interesting. Anyway, so this particular event is flashing back a couple of months to when Ian, we see the kidnapping from Ian's perspective. And they pull him on the ship. The other really smart thing about this cold open, and maybe this is the other reason why they did it, but I don't know, is because you get the big Geillis surprise. You don't see Lottie Verbeek in the credits.
Right. Right.
But anyway, so
that's another thing I'd like to know. Did you non-book readers see that coming? Did you expect Geillis to show up?
Right. So he's on the ship and he's given a real struggle and he bites a guy's hand. It's like Hannibal Lecter, 200 years earlier. It's really disgusting. So he ends up in a cell in Jamaica. 2 other guys are there. And basically they find out that there used to be 6 guys there. And Ian's like, ooh, that's not good. That's not good. So then I guess Ian gets a royal audience with the Bakra. And we hear actually a familiar voice. And yes, it is Geillis Duncan. Dun, dun, dun! She is alive. So yes, non-book readers, were you surprised? Did you expect to ever see her again?
And were you cracking up at how they tried to make her look older? Were they like, she's so stunning, that woman, that I think they were like, just don't put makeup on her. But she was still gorgeous, totally.
Yeah, let's put a little streak of maybe sort of silvery blondie kind of hair. Maybe.
Yeah, her hair color was
different.
Do
her red rinse a little lighter, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to have something to say about all the wigs in this episode, but we'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go, okay, in the book, it's not a spoiler to say that Geillis, by this point, when they see her, and, I guess Ian would see her first, but we don't really, it's not his point of view, so we see her through Claire's eyes. She's, gains a lot of weight. She doesn't look very good. She kind of looks like Jabba the Hutt as a girl. I mean, clearly that's not going to happen in the TV show. But I kind of thought it was like, it was just weird. Like the whole thing with her in like the goat's blood. Did that happen in the book? Did she talk about like bathing in goat's blood?
I was doing the same thing, and I
How the hell do you get that much goat's blood? How many goats did you have to kill?
I thought so, because I thought that's what I kind of thought was creepy, that they have to do this. But then I'm like, you guys, my brain, I don't remember. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. She was always so eccentric and odd that, I like, it was like sort of Fountain of Youthy. Like she just was like doing anything she possibly could to stay young.
I just thought it was like the 18th century Carrie, at the prom.
Well, and I always also loved how she started like toweling off, was okay from here up, but it was still all down here. And then she put the robe on, and seconds later she was completely not a drop.
She must have had like magic, magic. The robe must be magic, like that tea that she serves in a second.
Yeah.
So she basically like some treats are brought in, and she's like, go ahead and eat. Oh, Ian Murray.
That was weird.
Didn't your uncle ever teach you the other guy needs to eat it first?
I know. I was sitting there saying, do you not know what is in? There's something in. Did you
ever not watch any spy movie ever, Ian?
Well, honestly, they show his immaturity. They show his age. You know what I mean? Which I also found very interesting, because you were talking about earlier in the season how he's supposed to be 14 and he's 16, and that was an interesting, change.
Right. And I mean, I think that's probably part of the reason why they up the age a little bit, is so it's not like so. I mean, it's still pretty gross, but like it's not,
Yeah.
It's slightly less gross, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it was, and also that's why he had been around the block.
A little bit, yes. He was not deflowering. She was not deflowering him.
Yeah, they did not want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
So then she pours him some tea, and he drinks some, and then he drinks some more, and then it's like some sort of wacky 18th century truth serum.
I had no choice. She refuses to tell the truth.
No, it was just silly. Like, really? Like, what's
his name? Jamie Fraser.
Like, I mean, I don't even think, is there like a real isn't that like fake? Like when they're always like, oh, we gave you truth serum, and now you have to like tell the truth, or when like we're going to inject you with this truth serum. Isn't that fake? Is there really such a thing as truth serum?
The only thing I can think of is when you go for some surgery and they don't completely knock you out, but they give you a little like bit of something.
Gas?
And they always say it makes you float around the room, and you're supposed to. No, not laughing. Maybe was it gas? I don't remember. But you can possibly like, it's like the kids and the laughing gas. The kids who get the wisdom teeth out. There's always YouTube videos of these kids being driven home, like going, and then didn't you ever see the one where the two brothers on the way home from getting her wisdom teeth out told her that the world was like. That it was Armageddon or something, or that aliens had attacked and they had to get out. And she was like, what? Oh,
but here's the thing, Carol. That's not the truth.
That's true. Well, Tracey, when she said, like, what's your uncle's name? And he was like, I can't, Jamie Fraser. all I could think of was Dudley Moore and Arthur when the hooker says, what's her name? And he says, Susan. I can't tell you her last name because that would be indiscreet. Johnson.
This whole idea of tea as truth serum was just like wacky to me. Whatever. Yeah. She could have just like threatened him, and he probably would have given the goods up just as easy, because I don't think he's got like a very strong constitution.
I hope the pastries were good.
Well, the cake was very dry, Okay. And the other thing I have to say about this whole scene was that, like, Lottie Verbeek, you are a brave soul, because you let them, I mean, which would you rather do, Carol? Do the part of the scene where you have to strut around naked, covered in the goat's blood, and dump like gallons of water all over yourself and like.
Am I me? Am I me, or do I have Lottie Verbeek's body?
You can have her body.
Okay.
So do all that, or have all those close-up shots of your feet. I know what I'm choosing, and it ain't my feet.
Claire had some feet close-ups last week too.
No, but Lottie Verbeek had the one where
I don't even remember her
foot
feet.
goes up on like Ian's neck like this, and then you see a close-up shot, and she has like toes that are as long as my fingers.
And I was like, "Is this supposed to be sexy?" I do that to my dog.
You guys have to understand that me and Carol and their sister Jill will literally text each other pictures of our feet and our toes because, like, if any of us are struggling with some toe fungus, we'll be like, "Oh my god, look at it! I thought I got rid of it, and now it's back." Like, seriously, swear to God, we do that all the time. So, like,
her feet did look pretty good.
I can't even imagine having to have my feet, and I have really weird toes, you guys. Well, I'm not going to get started with that, but I can't imagine.
I forgot about the toes.
Having to have my feet like front and center on camera. Nope. Give me the like nude scene with the pig's blood every time.
Well, as long as I can do it as Lottie Verbeek, I'm happy.
So Ian spills the goods about Jamie and the box and the jewels and the this and the that and blah, 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 blah. So then we get the Easter egg, and it's just somebody like searching through the house of like Claire's jewelry, you know, at the mall.
When she says Claire, she doesn't mean our
Claire,
our heroine.
Fraser.
She means Claire's at the mall.
And she's clearly looking for the sapphires and missing one, and is all mad. So that was like an all right Easter egg, but not that great.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jamie and Claire arrive in Jamaica, and now is the time that we need to talk about Claire's wig.
Yeah, what was that?
What the hell was on her head?
I was like, that's a wig. Like, what's happening there? Yeah.
Like, because normally, I mean, we'll make fun of Claire's hair, but it's always because it's really frizzy, as ours gets. Like, we feel a kinship with her, or because the length of it goes boom, 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 boom. I don't think she's ever worn a wig before, and certainly if she has, she's never worn one that was so bad that.
I can't remember what her hair looked like.
Now, ironically, everybody complains about Jamie's wig, and I've never noticed it. Never in the history of time of the show have I been like, has Sam Heughan's wig distracted me?
I loved his wig.
Oh, his wig?
The gray wig, the powdered wig. I loved it, and I usually can't stand them. Do you remember when J.J. Field used to he wore it like for like 10 seconds on turn when he was John Andre in the gray wig, and it was awful. And that was back when you watched it the first time and you couldn't keep everyone straight because they all had wigs on. And then it was like, as soon as John Andre took that wig off, it was like, thank God, he's cute. I thought Sam Heughan looked so refined. I loved the powdered wig.
French. What did Marcelly say? He looked like a dandy.
And then he said, or French, same thing. Oh my God, I loved it.
Claire's wig, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, it's like literally looks like when I was an old lady for Halloween in like 6th grade, and I went out and I bought an old lady wig. Like, oh my God.
When did she have I noticed the wig. I didn't notice the wig until they were at the governor's ball.
No, that was, I mean, that might have been a wig too, but at least it was normal. Like, that looked like more like her hair from France. This wig, like the bun was sort of lower down, or maybe it was like not even a bun. It was like sort of rolled up.
I'll have to pull it up again.
Oh, it was awful. It was just
Could it
awful.
Be, they did this in South Africa. Could it
could
be?
Have been, well, but Katrina doesn't have like, maybe her hair wasn't curly, maybe she like needed a perm and hadn't gotten one.
Maybe it was raining. Maybe it was humid. I always go back to Twilight when they have the baseball scene and they all had baseball hats on, not because they were playing baseball in the scene, but because the weather was so crappy that everybody's hair was awful. And they were like, what are we going to do? We're ruining the scene. So Catherine Hardwicke said they were like, put baseball hats on them. So maybe it was a weather Tracey.
I don't know, but it was just, oh my God.
As someone whose life is ruled by the weather, and I don't know how, I literally check the weather before I take a shower. I mean, you know.
I know. All right. And she loses this eventually, but I really was just like, you know, because her hair has been so like good and not like it might look bad, but it's not distracting bad. But this
I didn't notice.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
notice.
Tell us in the comments if you noticed it, because I
we'll get to Geillis's wig later.
Oh yes, we will. Oh yes, we will.
That looked like she put it on when she was drunk. It was like her hairline was here and the wig was...
I was calling it her Pat Nixon wig. Oh, maybe like Lady Bird Johnson instead. I don't know.
It was bad.
Oh, you guys, I just saw Lady Bird, the movie, over the weekend, and it's so good, and you have to go see it. Okay. Anyway, so they meet up with MacGyver, and it's MacIver. It's Maciver. I looked up in the book. But I kept thinking they were saying MacGyver, and I just wanted to be like, wait, MacGyver, did you make that tea? That, like, the truth serum tea? Because I bet you did with, like, some water, a screwdriver, and, you know, a piece of plaid tartan. Yeah. So, okay. He tells them that, oh my God, this is so annoying. I don't know.
Stuck in your necklace.
I don't know why this is all weird. Okay.
We're very high tech, you guys.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. I think maybe this isn't working or something. Okay. So MacGyver is like, hey, it's a good thing you came with all that wine because I'm having we need it for the governor's ball because there's a new governor in town. And why don't you come? My wife will be like so happy to have you. So they're like, no, we have better things to do.
Yeah. At first, Jamie was like, hell no, get away from me.
Well, no, Claire was really the one that gave him the stink eye. It was like, no, we have a situation. We have a situation. So anyway, he goes to show them lodging, and he's like, well, you should totally check at the slave market if you want to find somebody who's maybe getting sold from the bruja, or the bruja, whatever it's called, because that's where they would be. And so they go to the slave market, and as we have discussed already, Claire is not happy. She's like, get this umbrella away from me. I don't want to blend in with these people because they all suck. Jamie finds out that the governor has brought the Bruja slaves, so he's like, all right, now maybe we do need to go to that ball.
And I loved the way they showed you. Like I was so taken with that scene. They showed you the way, like on the one hand, I was like, Claire, just shut up. You know what I mean? Like, just go blend in. And on the other hand, I was like, I don't think I could do it either. Like, they showed you how in a different time period it would be like that. Like, they just wouldn't, they had no soul. They had those boys, they were boys.
I know.
They were young boys behind those bars, scared.
You know,
oh my God.
I mean, and I remember thinking this when I read the books too. And that scene was pretty much right out of the books. Like, you know, everybody has seen like a million movies with like, they have the slave market and how awful it was, whatever. But I think that was the first time I ever saw, I mean, basically the guy, the slave seller guy was like, oh no, he's going to be good at breeding. Here, let me show you. Let me and I'd never heard of, I mean, I never heard of something like that before.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like 12 Years a Slave didn't do any of that. Like, you know, and it's just so, that. I mean, again, like clearly it's completely demoralizing and degrading, but this like brought demoralizing and degrading to like an even lower level.
Well, I think that knowing Diana Gabaldon's love of research,
Right.
think about
It's probably documented.
And all of us, you've seen those ads. They literally had ads for Negroes. You know what I mean? And they would say, strong and strapping and, capable of this and that. So knowing her, you know what I mean? Like she probably saw something in a journal somewhere and kind of wrote the scene around that, meaning in the book. You know what I'm saying? Like oh my God, it just that. And like, I can't handle, like, did you ever see Amistad? Like,
I think I saw part of it.
Because so much of that is like on the slave ships. I get sick. Like I can't even,
right.
I just can't.
So it was tough to watch, but Claire, like clearly it was tough to watch for Claire because she didn't watch it anymore. She acted. She smacked them around with her umbrella. Jamie had to come to her rescue.
I love how she started the whole thing and then she sort of like ducked out and it just kept going.
Right. And again, Jamie's like I was kind of surprised that Jamie was like, are you okay, Sassenach? Rather than like, how many times have we talked about this? Like, yes, it sucks, but like, you need to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I wanted her to open all those cages. I was like, go around and just get out, run.
Yeah,
that was another thing, was the way they showed you, like, where's he gonna go? Like, even if we let him go,
right. They're like, we're gonna free you eventually.
He's gonna get
figure
caught.
out how to do it. Yeah. That was, I mean, if you haven't seen 12 Years a Slave, I was talking about that a little bit before, but it's a really good movie, and it shows you just how, even for if you were free, and you lived in Massachusetts or Philadelphia, like basically what happens in that story is that I think this guy travels to like Washington D.C. for something, and just gets kidnapped.
And isn't he like a doctor or something?
Yeah,
or am I getting that
he's
mixed
a
up with
doctor, but
Mercy
he's like
Street?
a printer, or he's got
and he's got like a family, and
yeah. Just gets kidnapped, and poof, he's a slave. 12 years.
I don't think I can watch that. I can't.
It's a very good movie. It's not an easy movie to watch, but it's a very good story. Okay. So anyway, they end up as the way that the problem is solved is that Jamie buys this slave for Claire. And Claire's just like so disgusted.
She's like, what?
And then now we need to have a discussion about Jamie. Just as Claire needs to learn that she's in the 18th century now, and maybe she shouldn't do like everything her 20th century mind thinks is wrong and needs to react to, Jamie needs to stop starting sentences with things like, you were the one who wanted me to do it, or you were the one who told me to blah, 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 or you were the one who said, be nice to leg hair. Because he goes right in there and he's like, you were the one who wanted me to buy the thing, the slave, And I'm just like,
well, what do you want him to say?
No, he's always blaming Claire.
Well, maybe that's because he's defending himself because Claire's always.
No, Jamie needs to stop doing that. Jamie must stop using the like, you told me to, blah, 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 blah. Psychology 101. It's never, you did this. You said this.
No, no. Psychiatry. I mean, that's something that you learn when you're in therapy. That's not Jamie Fraser doesn't have to. He can say whatever the frig he wants.
If you were mad about a situation and Tom solved it in a way that you were like, really? You solved it this way? And he said, well, Car, you told me to do blah, blah, blah. Would you not smack him?
No, I would say, oh, yeah, you're right. I kind of did. If I told him to do that, did she tell him? I mean, if I said, blah, 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 do make sure you blah, 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 and then he did whatever, and then he came back and said, well, you told me to, I'd be like, oh,
I think it's exactly the same way as when she was like, well, be nice to leg hair. And then he comes back and is like, well, you told me to be nice to her. And she's like, well, I didn't mean marry her. I think it's the same thing. She's probably like, Jamie, like, fix this. And he was like, okay. And he bought the slave. I think she's like, I didn't mean buy the slave.
Yeah, well, I thought it was I thought it was cute, not the subject matter, but I don't know. He was trying to help.
He was trying. Jamie just, yeah.
He didn't know what to do.
Jamie's problem solving. I'm starting to think that TV Jamie's problem solving skills are perhaps not as. And I actually thought that was a pretty good solution to the problem. So, whatever. But
well,
you know what?
Listen.
I'm just saying, Jamie has to stop telling Claire that all his decisions that she doesn't like are because she told him to do it.
I think that I'm going to, as you always say, respectfully agree to disagree, because Jamie doesn't have to do anything. You don't like it. You don't like the. Here's my question that I'm almost more interested in. How is that how are these things that are bothering you? How are they written in the book?
Oh, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
That might be interesting to look up. Does Diana Gabaldon do that? But, look, I guess I see it as it's the 18th century. Like, he's gonna. You're getting into a whole.
If my husband has done something to piss me off, and he tells me, "Well, I did it because you told me to," that's really gonna piss me off.
Well, if you told him to, I mean,
I didn't tell him to. That's the thing. She didn't say buy that guy. She said fix it. So he fixed it by doing something that she.
Well, you're sort of discounting his opinion of how to fix it. Claire's not always. Why does Claire always get to make the decision?
Claire is right either. I'm not saying Claire is right. I'm just saying that Jamie, to keep the peace, needs to stop doing. Saying like, well, I learned it from watching you.
You all right? I learned it from watching you. Face it, I'm not getting into college.
we already did that. We already did that. Okay. All right. Moving on. So they bought the slave, and he's going to ask around at the governor's house about the brouhaha and if anyone saw Young Ian. So next, we see back to Geillis' house, and we see Archie and Margaret. And so clearly they are working for Geillis. And Geillis is not happy because she is missing the sapphire. And she needs 3 sapphires to hear about the prophecy. And then we hear the whole story about how Dougal died a hero at Culloden, which clearly somebody needs to fill Geillis in on exactly what went down
there. Sure, he died a hero.
And we hear the whole treasure from Claire's at the mall is really the property of the Mackenzies and Dougal.
You gotta say, like, you gotta come up with another store, because I keep thinking you mean Claire.
I know.
You gotta say Forever 21 or something.
No, wasn't there another accessory? Wasn't there another accessory store besides Claire's? I don't remember.
I'm sure it was fun.
I don't remember.
Who doesn't love Claire's? Let's be honest. I still love Claire's.
Oh, Claire's is great. In fact, I need to have a visit back to Claire's because I need a couple pairs of earrings and stuff like that. I'm not somebody who is a big, fancy jewelry person. Mainly because I lose it. Like, this is my only piece of good jewelry that I own, probably. And I never take it off because I'm definitely afraid I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. Oh, you really? You never take it?
I take it off when I
never
take a shower.
Take it off.
I take it off when I take a shower. That's it. In fact, I lost the diamond in the yard like a year ago, and I thought it was gone forever, and I found it. I found this diamond without any, tools or anything. I just, saw it.
Hey, and what's tomorrow?
Oh, I know. That's right.
It's her anniversary, you guys.
Yes, it's my anniversary. Can I just tell you that both John and I were talking about that today, and I was literally, I sort of knew in the back of my head, but I realized when I got the mail and there's a card there from mom and dad, from Pat's R and Jig and Dad. And I haven't called them that in a long time. Look up, we have a video of that explains that, you guys. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, Mom got her Christmas cards out. She's the first Christmas card I'm getting. And I was oh no, wait, this is an anniversary card because tomorrow's our anniversary.
That's cute.
I was like, oh, it's an anniversary card. And John's like, oh. I was like, yeah, I know. Me either.
John was like, I'll be right back. I need razors. Bye. All right. So what's next?
So anyway, okay. So now it's time for the ball. So we see Jamie in his wig. You and I have very differencing opinions.
Sam, you looked adorable in that wig. Loved it. And I'm an American Revolutionary mama. I am an American Revolution history dork. And I love all those shows, and I want a piece of art in my house. I'm telling you right now, I am not a fan of those powdered wigs. I always say, they look so stupid. You outdid yourself with that wig.
I just have yikes in capital letters written next to that. So
you guys, I
definitely
need to know your opinion. This could be a good poll too. Did you like Sam's wig? Were you didn't really care, or did you loathe it? Because honest to God, I thought he looked, let's be honest, put a ponytail on that man and a tricorn, and I am, wow.
Well, yeah, but not the wig.
But the wig, he wore it well. They can't usually wear them well, but he wore it well.
I mean, yes, I agree to that. I agree that he looked, he didn't look awful in it. I just don't like them.
But let me tell you something. When you guys, I'd like you to tell me the last time you remember me gushing over Sam Heughan. I'm not a Sam Heughan gusher. I think the last time I truly gushed over Sam Heughan was when he was cast and we made a video. Honest to God, I just thought he was perfect. I loved the wig. And that's totally cool that if you didn't like it, that's totally cool.
Both he and Katrina, like they must be out in the sun in South Africa all the time, because Sam is like...
He was a mess.
I know.
He was all blotchy. I was like, okay, I guess either I couldn't figure it out. I was like, is this makeup to make him look blotchy because we know he's like kind of fair? Or is this Sam Heughan's blotchy and they figured, let's run with it because they're, in the tropics?
I mean, I was kind of figuring he was out in the tropics a lot. Like, out in when they were fixing the ship last week and stuff, he was, out in the sun, and they don't have sunblock back then.
But in the books, he would get kind of tan. Remember, he not like a tan, but he would, after being in the sun for a while, he would get tan, which was odd because he had the red hair and the eyelashes at the ends. Remember, she was always talking about his eyelashes.
Okay, so they all get out of the carriages. They run into Archie.
Wait a minute. What about Claire's wig at this point?
Oh, I didn't have a problem with Claire's wig here because it reminded me a lot of France. At least it looked like her hair. It didn't look like a wig to me. It looked like her hair had been like teased out and made into this poof.
And at first I thought it was, and then at one point I was like, wait, am I seeing like a line of a wig? I couldn't tell. I was like,
see, that was from the other wig that I saw that 100%.
But the hairdo, she was like Gumby. She's too beautiful for that hairdo.
Well, it was a little bit of a Gumby hairdo.
It was high up on one side. The one side with the flower was so cute. It reminded me of me, like when I'm sitting here, like this is definitely when I have to get my picture taken and I run over on this side so I can, if I have to turn my head, I can turn from this side. It didn't remind me of that. But over here was just like, I didn't really get it, but she's so beautiful that who cares?
That wig didn't bother me because it was the other. I was still so shocked for the other wig.
For the time, the hairstyle was perfect.
And again, it didn't look like a wig. It looked like her real hair had been styled into this big monstrosity. The other one looked like there was a wig slapped on her head.
It might have been. I really don't know. I'd have to look closer, and I can't always tell unless it's Bella in Eclipse. I can't always tell.
Worst wig.
You guys, whenever the commentary, whenever we're discussing bad wigs, we always digress and we always go back to Bella in Eclipse.
In Eclipse is like the gold standard of bad wigs.
She had like 4 different horrific. Don't even get me started. Don't.
Okay, so then they're all in the receiving line, waiting to see the governor. The governor. Everyone's paying attention to Mr. Willoughby because he's so exotic, as those Asians were back then.
I know those girls were like, "Oh my God,
I've never seen one of you before."
You're from Gina? I had to go there. I had to. Seriously, they were like, you know what, though? I could understand it if they're never around. You know, they were.
You know, again,
At least they were appreciating somebody who was different from themselves.
Right. So meanwhile, then we have Margaret, who is like quite the little flirt, I think. That she's like, you know, she's talking to this manservant, and she's talking about how they think they're going to live happily ever after, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
I thought she was reading his fortune and telling him how he's.
Oh, was she? Because see, I thought that there was like sort of a double meaning with telling fortunes. Okay. I have Margaret cozying up to a manservant telling fortunes, but maybe she really was telling a fortune. I don't know. I think she was telling her like a dream fortune of like their, you know, dream life together. Maybe not. I don't know. Then we get to the part where we're still on the receiving line, and Claire and Jamie are like joking around and like, yeah, you know, okay, yeah. And then they lock eyes. Do you remember this part?
Of course I do. They were talking about how cute Marcelly and Fergus were behind them in line, because Marcelly and Fergus were all PDA. Loving up on each other and having some PDA. And Claire was like, oh, remember when we used to like make out in public? And there was a look that he gave her.
Orgasm with the eyes, as I wrote down.
He gave, it was, and there was the whisper of original Bear McCreary.
Yes, of the Jamie Claire theme.
Yes. And I went like, check, please. Like, so, wow. This is, wow.
Yeah, no.
It was good. There
was a lot of like saying stuff with your eyes in this episode.
And I'll tell you, yes. And something else is that they really capture what I loved about post Voyager and beyond in the book series, which is, you know, you start out with these 20-somethings, but 2 books later, you know, you've got 40-somethings, and it's just, for me, you know, I can relate to them more now.
Right.
You know, this is like when Tom and I go to a wedding, and, you know, my niece or nephew gets married, and we're standing there, you know, and then they say something, and we look at each other and kind of give each other a little like, this was us once.
And then do you hear the music going like, and then does Tom go like this? And then do you go like this?
You guys, did you see what I just saw?
And then does Tom go like this?
And did you like it, or do you wish you could unsee it?
I'm going to have to cut that out now.
No, it was funny. Keep that in.
And then do you go like this?
We really don't. We just smile. No, we don't do any of that. I'm sorry.
When they interview you separately later, is it like this? Carol's like, oh, we just had a little moment where we realized that even after all these years, we're still in love. And Tom was like, yeah, it was just like, you know, how soon do we get to the bar after this wedding?
And Tom was like, God, I had something in my eye.
Okay. Alrighty. So anyway, then they reach the end of the line, or the head of the line, I guess, and they see who the governor is. And it's Lord John!
And Carol, I can't even say what I just thought in my head. It was that tasty.
Well, I'll say the next thing I typed was hot AF.
I think I had that too. You know, I did take some notes, and I'm not even looking at them. Because I did write one of those types of things down.
Well, this starts like easy 20 minutes of like just hilarity and awesomeness, because the 3 of them are so great together. Lord John finds out that Claire's alive, and he's, you know, you can tell like he's just like crushed from the inside because he was holding out hope someday, you know, Jamie was going to realize after all of these years, wait a minute, Lord John is my true love.
You know, and how about the sapphire that he was wearing?
Well, we'll get to that.
And the thing is that anybody else would have taken that thing and like pocketed it and like made a couple of bucks. But he's
no.
What?
No, not Lord John. Now I have some things written about
Lord
that.
John takes that thing and like displays it.
Yeah, well, he doesn't display it. It's like sort of hidden away. What I have down.
Oh my God, you're not going to. Let me talk. That's my point. Is that he's wearing it on his person, and just anybody else would have sold it and made some money, or probably handed it back to whoever. He kept it not because of its financial worth, but because of its personal worth to him.
Well, no, he wears it on his heart. He wears it like right here.
That wasn't his heart.
Well, it's like it's like right below his heart. It's right over his liver, maybe.
Kind of close to his. But like the point being, this thing is worth a lot of money, but to him, it doesn't matter. It's just.
Well, he doesn't need a lot of money.
But also like Jamie gave it to him. How refresh my memory of him? I know why. Like
Jamie gave it to him to sort of prove like that he was like, this is what I found. I'm giving it to you. I didn't bring anything back. I'll back.
Right.
No, it reminded me of.
I would do that. I would totally wear it like that. I would totally do that. It reminded me
of. Did you ever see Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah.
At the very end, it's like I was like, oh my God, that sapphire is Jack Twist's shirt that like Heath Ledger keeps in his little closet at the very end, and he looks at it all the time at the very end. Yeah, like he like sort of opens his closet and there's the shirt hanging there, and
then Lord John comes out and says,
I wish I knew how to quit you.
I cannot quit you. They really did a great job. I know we already said it. They did an amazing job getting that whole thing across. He loves her, but she loves him, and he loves somebody else. You just can't win.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wait. Because there's still more. Okay, so they go off to talk in private. The rest are, they're just like, because the receiving line is a mile long, and Lord John's like, let's go somewhere else to talk. And bye.
I'm like,
poor Fergus and Marsley are like, Pete, we're next, and we've waited in this line for an hour. Really?
I thought the same thing. I was like, aren't you at least going to turn around and say, I'll be right back? Aren't you going to have them put up a sign that says back in 10 minutes? He just took off.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't think you're supposed to do that, but okay, whatever. And then they pan to Geillis, and she is at the ball in her Pat Nixon wig, and it is just like...
So what? Why?
I really was like...
Here's her hairline.
What? I don't get it.
And the wig...
You do realize that you are back in time right now. You're not in 1968. You're in 1768, right? Right, Geillis? Like, I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I don't understand. Is this like some sort of magic hair? Like the truth serum? Like
I guess maybe that I was mad at myself. I had a class in college, history of textiles and costumes, and it was fantastic. And that was the kind of stuff they would talk about your wig and how there was stuff literally in that time period when there wore those monstrous wigs. There was like stuff living in them. Ew. And I was just like, what? I don't remember ever reading in that class that her hairline, and it wasn't particularly attractive, the wig. I was like, could you put a bow in it? I think they were trying to make her look old, and not old, but older, and it wasn't really.
It was awful. It was, oh my God, it was so bad. It was so bad.
And then I'm like, how dare I sit here and talk about somebody's hair looking bad when I look like serious 1980s like special. So
all right, so then they go somewhere private. I don't remember where, And the next 10 minutes are all about Jamie wanting to know everything that Willie has done since the beginning of time. And of course, the more questions get asked, the more I'm like, have you asked that about Brianna? Don't think so. Don't think so.
My God.
I'm sorry, but I will never get over it.
I'm going to give him this.
Mm-hmm.
A few people said this back when all that went down with the pictures. I am going to give him the fact that he spent years with Willie. So
I understand that. I get it. But we are on episode 312 now.
Yeah, and it's not about Bree right now. We should be seeing more, but he did look at the pictures on the ship that were perfect and not wrinkled and not wet and anything, because he preserved them as I was told. He kept them close, near and dear to his heart and preserved them very well.
Right.
I can't preserve anything. But okay. But I will give him that at this moment in time. This conversation,
okay,
is about and he hasn't seen. How many years are we talking now that he hasn't seen Lord John?
Not that long.
How many years did he? Because the last time he was looking at Lord John in real life, Willie was next to him, or he was holding on.
It's been maybe, I'm gonna guess 4 years tops.
But he had to walk away from his son, who he was with daily.
Maybe a little longer than 4.
And now
4 years tops.
And I never really put this 2 and 2 together. Maybe I did, but I don't remember. Squirrel. He had to leave his son, and Claire had to leave her daughter. No matter that it's his daughter too. Let's put that aside.
Okay.
But Diana has a thing with this. You can always see there's little things that thread through that you're like, Diana Gabaldon is really obsessed with blah, blah, blah. Because she writes
thread,
about
though.
it.
I mean, I can go there, like what you just said right now. Like, I can get it.
He had to walk away and leave his son leave his child in another life. In an odd way, Claire had to walk away and leave Bree in another life.
Right. No, not in an odd way, like in the same way.
Well, no, I don't remember him traveling 200 years to do it.
Well, no, but I mean, like, in both cases, the inclination is that you're never going to see the kid again.
Oh, my God.
You know, I don't know. I hope, like, just, like, for the love of God, Outlander people, you got a week to get on this. Please throw me a bone and have Jamie say something to Claire about Brianna. Some inkling of, like, what is she like? You know, what does she sound like? What is she, you know, something more than, like, why do you dress her like a slut at the beach? Please, for the love of all that is holy, just give me that. Just give me that, and I will go a year of Droughtlander and be happy. Just give me that. So it's fine. I get the 10 minutes of questions about Willie. I get it. And I will say that it was not nearly as bad as it sounds, because throughout the whole thing, Claire was so hilarious. I can't even stand it. Where she's,
with her, like...
she's like watching a tennis match like this.
Yeah. She was like...
I'm sorry, am I interrupting something? Maybe I should go get myself some champagne, because I don't know.
Yeah,
oh my God. It was
hey guys, get a room.
It was so funny, because she's just starting to see, like, I'm smelling something a little freaky here. And I don't know whatever.
Freaky deaky. Well, let's be honest. I'm sure Jamie never told Claire. I mean, I can't remember when he told her in the book,
of his leanings, so to speak.
Yeah, like, did Jamie ever? I know we didn't see it, but in the show, are we under the impression that Jamie at one time or another was like, oh yeah, and by the way, Lord John wants a piece of this. Lord John wants himself a piece of this. So did that ever, do we think this happened?
That's a good question, because clearly they've talked about it. Clearly Claire knows who that Lord John, she knows who he is, and she knows he was the little boy from 20 years ago.
Claire knows everything.
But
remember, Jamie was like, Lord John, did he come right out and say it, or did he just kind of go, or did he say, does she know? Like Jamie was like, oh, she knows. She knows everything.
But I don't know that Claire knows that. I really don't. Clearly she doesn't, because she was really like...
She was like, you are verbally loving up on my man.
You get off my man.
You go get your own man.
Oh my God.
She should have been like, listen, Lord John, go out there and go talk to Mr. Willoughby, because he probably leans all over the place.
Because women have treated him very badly in the past, and he's quite sick of them. So you may have a shot yet.
And he's pretty hot.
And he's much hotter than he was in the book.
Damn, he really is. Are you going to get to that little conversation too?
This is where that's my next thing. So speaking of Mr. Willoughby, so the action moves to outside, and poor Margaret is sitting on a bench, and she's just all sad and forlorn. And who comes over about Mr. Willoughby? And they have a little chat, and it is just the most adorable thing you'll ever see in your whole life. My guess, and I'm not going to say exactly what the book version of all this is, but it's clear that the Mr. Willoughby storyline is not going to go down in the same way as it did in the book. And I actually like that, because I think in the book it's kind of odd and a little weird.
I have suspicions, and this is not book suspicions, because I believe you were just saying like it was different in the book. I have suspicions about what's going to be happening next week. I am going to tell you guys next week if my suspicion was correct. Okay. I might write it down on a piece of paper, and then I'll show it to you if it was correct.
You should. That would be fun. Okay, do that. Yeah. Do that. Okay.
So, that was the scene that I was going to say also was one of, I swear to God, I might put it up there with like one of the greatest scenes I've seen so far in this series, when Mr. Willoughby went over to her and told her, your brother doesn't treat you well. Her eyes, the chemistry, oh my God, that scene, because I've always loved Mr. Willoughby, and they're making me love him more on this show.
Yes.
The show is making me love him even more than I ever did in the books.
And bravo to the writers for the way that they've treated Mr. Willoughby in the show, because in the books, Mr. Willoughby's just a weird character in the books. And, and actually so is Margaret. Margaret kind of like goes off the rails a little bit too, if I recall.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think that their storyline is going to not be what it was in the books. And I like where their storyline is going. But definitely write it down, because I'll be curious to see.
Well, I mean,
it could go in a lot of different directions. And,
yeah. But that scene with Mr. Willoughby, I keep forgetting to check out I don't even know if I wrote it down though. I am telling you right now, I just thought that was just a beautiful little scene between the two of them.
Yeah, I agree too. I thought it was, I just put he's smitten. He's smitten, he loves her. She like listens to him. She doesn't make fun of him. She doesn't look at him as like some, exotic oddity.
Yeah, like at the freak show.
Right.
That I loved that aspect of it too. And she's not, the fairest girl in the land, and he appreciates her for who she is, and he appreciates her for her gifts. And he could have had those girls in the thing that were all in the thing. God, I'm tired. In the governor's ball that were like, ooh, I've never seen myself a Chinese man up close. All right, I got to stop using that. I got to stop using it. And he could have easily like taken off upstairs with a couple of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But instead, he's outside with Margaret because that's who he sees as being beautiful. And I was like, I love Mr. Willoughby.
All right. We need to get to the next part, which is quite frankly, quite possibly a top 10 conversation in this series. And it is when Claire and Lord John chat over the champagne and brandy. And honest to God, like Linda Evans and Joan Collins in Dynasty could not have done better.
It was so like,
oh my God. This conversation was so great.
It was like, oh, really?
I was like typing down dialogue because I had to remember it. So wait. So they chat and they reminisce. So I think it's Lord John says something like, he's told you a great deal. And she looks at him and she's like, that's a beautiful sapphire. Like, well, that's one thing he did not tell me. And then he goes, and now you've come back to him. And she goes, yes, I have. Back off, bitch!
Yeah. And I'm here to
step away from the Fraser. It was so great. I can't even talk.
Yeah. I will be watching this again with Tom because he hasn't seen. He didn't even get to finish the very end of the preview of 311. So he and I, hopefully tomorrow, will be watching this, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing what he has to say about all of this.
I mean, you just want them to have a cat fight like in the mud or something. I mean, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's so great. It's so great. Who would Claire shoot daggers more at? Lord John or oh my God, I forgot her name. Oh, Sandy Candy.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. Who was that again?
Sandy Candy, Frank's little paramour.
Oh, right. See, you guys, how tired I am. Like, I can't eat. I sound like Tracey in my job and her job.
I'm on my second wind.
Sandy Candy got to the heart and soul of Claire. Claire knows she's won over.
That's true. That's a good point. Very good point. Very good point. Claire knows
over Lady John Grey. She knows where Jamie's hanging his head tonight. But I think I meant to say hanging his hat.
Sandy Candy kind of won. Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But Claire's just like, yeah, keep trying, keep it up, sweetie.
Keep shining, keep smiling.
It was almost like Elle Woods. I wish Elle Woods would have been involved in that conversation. She should have done the bend and snap right there in the middle of the governor's ball to Jamie.
Oh my God. Okay, so. Then Claire spots Geillis, and she's like, excuse me, I just saw ghosts. I have to go check it out. And so they have a little conversation. Geillis tells how the baby all went down and how she, didn't die and everything. Interesting that she married somebody and is now Mistress Abernathy.
Abernathy, I know. And she did the same thing this time that she did to the guy in
well, do we know that for sure, or do we just pretty much assume it?
I don't remember, but
I think we assume it. I think you can infer
that's what she does. That's her MO. She marries some rich guy and then she kills him.
Right. She mates, then she kills. Right.
She makes some tea.
Right.
Oh no, the tea is only the truth serum.
Yeah. I was just laughing at that point because everyone was asking Claire and Jamie, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And so, of course, she did too. So Claire's like, maybe you can ask around. And she's like, sure, whatever. So then Claire goes with Geillis over to Jamie to talk to the little fox cub, as Geillis said. And Jamie is talking to Lord John at a little bistro table.
If I were Claire at this point,
I've got to find the like vaguely porny, vaguely swoony music, like bow, 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 bow.
Wouldn't you guys listen? Wouldn't you guys be like, you know what? You can find your own damn nephew. We are out of here. Like, I was like, she's running around trying to find out information about Ian. And Jamie's sitting over here at the bistro
having a little tete-a-tete
with Lord John, who she's not sure at this moment in time if maybe there was some hay rolling going on there. My God, can you imagine being in that room watching that scene? Those two men sitting at a table together. It's like blinding. They're both so gorgeous.
I know.
Crap. And again, I know I throw in my little, ooh, this one's gorgeous, but I move on. I don't like, gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say, if you held a gun to my head and said Lord John or Jamie,
I'm not going to tell.
I'm not going to tell either because nobody would watch this anymore.
And I'm just waiting to hear what Tom's going to say. You know, he's going to be like funny because he's going to be like, Carol. What do you expect? Look at those pecs. He can't help himself. Can't you hear it right now? I'm going to wait and see and write it down, whatever he says.
See if you can video him and we'll like cut it in or whatever.
He was gonna maybe tonight say a little something, but next time.
Next week. Well, I think we might.
He went to bed.
We might get him on next week. We might get him on next week. We'll see.
Yeah, he went to bed a while ago.
Okay. So Geillis spots the sapphire on Lord John and just about yanks the whole thing right off him. And Lord John's like, "Don't touch me, bitch!" Like, hands off the merchandise.
I was like, "Get off of him!"
I know.
Rude.
So she's like, I gotta like get a hold of that. So she like finds Archie and Margaret. She's like, we have to set up a fortune booth now. So they set up a little fortune booth, and she gets Lord John there. And Lord John, she's like, well, I need something like personal of yours, preferably one with a sapphire. And so he hands over the sapphire. And Margaret spouts something about the 200-year-old baby that must be killed, blah, 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 blah.
No, because that I kind of did write down.
Oh, did you write it down?
A new king. Well, this was the conversation after. So
and don't forget what the purpose of this is. The purpose of this is that if she can get the 3 sapphires, Margaret will be able to relate a prophecy that involves how Prince Charlie can retake the throne. So what did you write down?
I'm skipping ahead. It's about the Geillis's conversation with Archie.
The meaning. Oh, well, yeah.
The meaning of what she said. Do you want me to say that now?
Yeah. I'm there now.
Just a new king will rise in Scotland upon the birth of a 200-year-old child. And I was like, 200-year-old? Like, so now we're talking time travel. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't really understand it, frankly. And I'm not going to say, you know.
I actually, when I watched this part of the show, I was like, oh, this is way clearer to me than it was in the book. But I'm not going to say really, like, what do you guys think it means in the comments? I mean, like, obviously, if you're a book reader, you know what it means. But it's very interesting.
I don't think I can remember what it means.
That they need to figure out who they need to kill a 200-year-old baby. So who might that 200-year-old baby be?
Right.
And they have to figure that out and kill it. Hit her. They have to kill the baby, who's 200 years old. So Geillis is like, I don't get it, but we'll figure it out. It's all good. Thanks, Arch. So then we see Fergus and Marsley, and they're just cute. I don't know who's cuter, Margaret and Mr. Willoughby, or Fergus and Marsley. I mean, clearly Fergus and Marsley are cuter, but like whatever. And then all of a sudden, who strolls in? That Captain Babyface. Dun, dun, dun.
I just.
None of this.
I want to punch that guy in the head.
This is kind of stupid. I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with this, but this is just kind of dumb.
Don't get me started.
Like, is he allowed to come in, like, with his, heavies?
With their guns?
And all their guns? And, I mean, were they invited to this party? I don't think so. So Captain Babyface comes in. They all go out the back. It's very, like, Von Trapp family. Like, running out of the back of the theater and, like, running off into the mountains or whatever. So Fergus and Marsley get away. Claire and Jamie are heading off somewhere, and then they meet up with I don't remember the slave's name, but the one who was talking to all the Bruja people.
I'm gonna call him Adorbs.
Okay, I'll call him that. So Adorbs is like, I talked to people and they know who that guy is, and he's living right now. He's being held at Rosewood Hall. And Claire's like, I know where that is. That's where Geillis lives. So they're like, driver, head for the hills.
How does she know that?
Because Geillis told her. She's like Mrs. Abernathy now, and she lives at Rosewood Hall.
Okay.
So they're like on their way there, but then who shows up but Captain Babyface and his heavies. And they're all like, James Fraser, you've been, you're charged with murder, da-da-da. And what I didn't realize from last night, I must have been sleeping through it, is Jamie's like, Claire, take the photos of the children and like hide them and, whatever. So he does kind of worry about having the photos on him when he's taken prisoner, when Captain Babyface takes him prisoner. When Captain Rains took him prisoner, not such a big deal.
No.
But Captain Babyface, no, that's a much bigger deal.
Well, at one point, Captain Babyface, when he walked into the party, you walked into the party. He walks into the party and he was like this. And I thought, he's going to love Lord John too. I swear to God, I was like,
who wouldn't love Lord John?
Love match.
Who wouldn't love Lord John? So once again, Jamie is like taking prisoners somewhere. I'm getting a little tired of Jamie
Tracey,
Fraser.
What did I do when I got to this point?
You were like, oh, for the love of all that is holy. Really? Again?
I texted Tracey, you guys, and I said...
Wait, I can tell you what you said.
You and I are both looking at the text. I don't know. I can't find it.
Blah, 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 blah. Oh, for the love of God. How many fucking times are they going to capture Jamie Fraser? This is getting so old.
I'm sorry. I cannot. If we have to watch him in a gale of some, how do they say it? In a gal of some kind.
It's jail, but it's spelled G-A-O-L.
It's G-A-O-L. If I have to watch Jamie Fraser behind bars one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't. What?
That does not happen in the book, FYI.
Once again, Jamie Fraser gets...
I mean, does it happen in the book? I don't think it does.
I don't remember this. I don't remember.
I mean, I was reading a little bit of it before we started this.
In the book, can I mention what I said to you in my text? What happens?
In the book, Captain Babyface is there, but he's there kind of for another purpose. Not necessarily to find Jamie Fraser.
And then I read through my blog posts from 8 years ago. Oh, and I didn't mention half of this. So I must have been in the book too, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we're done.
That's it. So he's like, go to Rosewood Hall and find Ian and whatever.
Yeah.
And they cart him off, and
once again, they cart off Jamie Fraser.
But like, again, like, Jamie, like, Claire's not gonna, like, what the hell? She's not gonna find Ian. She's gonna go after you. Don't you remember season 1 where she totally, like, broke into Wentworth Prison? Like, I don't know.
And we have 1 episode left.
I know. I don't know. Maybe Lord John will save him. I mean, at this point, you guys, the way this has ended up is pretty different from the book. So we can kind of just, like, sit there and speculate with the rest.
Which is kind of fun. I do like the fact that I'm seeing things happen for the first time.
Right. I mean, yeah, like, there's things that haven't happened that happen in the book, and there's things that have happened that don't happen in the book. So, like, the questions I had at this point in the book, I have different questions now. So one of them is, like, what's going to happen to Jamie? Like, will Lord John, like get an earful of this and figure it out and free him or pardon him or, I don't know, what?
But as long as Lord John's in the show, we really don't care. In fact, let's bring him on in the first scene and keep him the whole time.
Nobody throw Lord John in jail because we can't stand that.
And what's his name in real life?
David Berry.
He's Australian, isn't he?
Okay.
I believe if I'm remembering correctly, again, I'm so exhausted, but I think he's Australian and he's married, like, with a couple of kids. And anyway, I don't know.
Yum.
He's fine.
Yum. And that's it. That's all she wrote to our penultimate episode of Outlander season 3.
Oh my God, you guys, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
We're going to sleep for about a week.
You guys, I don't know what happened this time around, especially since we had a lot of scary things that really could have made us not. How we've gotten through 12 so far episodes and actually made these videos for everyone, considering what we had going on in real life. I'm like, by like the 6th episode, usually we're like, oh, no, I don't know. You know what I mean? But this time around, everything went pretty smoothly.
And I really can't believe it because, I mean, you had going through what you were going through. My, like, work was, like, I'm literally working, every weekend. This coming weekend, not this coming weekend, the next weekend, the weekend of the last episode is my last work weekend because the project sort of ends at the next week.
Of course.
Yeah. It's like everything that you could possibly toss. This last event that I'm planning for this other group that I belong to is that Friday night. Like, then it's like smooth sailing. So, like, if Outlander was going to start on December 10th instead of end on December 10th, I'd be like, bring it on. It's all good. Now I'm just going to sleep for a week.
But
no, you guys, 2018, that is our resolution. We're going to be more regular in Droughtlander. We're going to maybe try to do some other thing. Because we like to, as you know, we like to talk about stuff other than Outlander. Whether it's like our own. I mean, just this week alone, like, how many hours could we do on Matt Lauer? Like, alone? 5? But see, this is the kind of stuff, you guys, that we will totally talk about in the off season. Like, we're gonna figure out how to do this because we just have so much crap that we like to talk about, and maybe
other shows. Hi, hello, Poldark,
and other shows, Poldark.
The Black Sails. Someone suggested that you start watching Black Sails.
I know, we could do that. Well, The Crown is starting up again.
The Crown on December 8th.
Oh my God, you guys, and Prince Harry.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
How much are we loving that story right now? Because in all of the crap of real life stories, you got the American princess. How much do we love Meghan Markle? How much do we love her?
I don't love Meghan Markle. I don't not love Meghan Markle. I don't know Meghan Markle. And she does sort of, on the one hand, that's cute that you're thinking of it as like, the American princess story. But on the other hand, she's sort of, I don't want to say she has to prove herself, but, like Wills and Kate from day one was like,
let's talk. Well, I mean, you think Claire has a stink eye with Lord John? Let's talk about Kate's stink eye with like, wait, what? He's getting what? Married? what? To like an American who like looks like me, except just as cute. No, 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 no.
I love her. I love her. She is so awesome. And I love when they'll tell you on the news, like, Kate is not above using this $6,000 purse multiple times.
Oh, she totally like she reuses. She reuses and recycles. Yes, she's very good at that.
So Megan, I sort of feel like is going to have to prove herself to me. I'll see her in the...
it's very refreshing. I watched that whole 20-minute interview that they did just because, all the other crap of the day, news-wise, work-wise, stuff that was going on with Tom. I was just like, I love this little story with the two of them and how cute they are. And plus, you want to talk hot at AF? Hello,
hey, Tracey,
Harry.
I didn't stand outside, haul my cookies into town and all dressed up and stand outside waiting for his 20 SUV motorcade for nothing when he came through my town. I have that on video. I couldn't see Harry.
You were like,
because
Harry, I'm married, but don't let that stop you. I can get out of that real easy.
I couldn't see Harry, you guys, because there were literally a gazillion police cars on both ends of the motorcade, and then there were like literally 20 big black SUVs with tinted windows. So I couldn't see Harry, but you better bet your sweet ass Harry saw me. Shannon and I were out there jumping up and down. And it was just us and some guy because the police had he landed in Seagirt, and they landed like an hour earlier than he was supposed to. They faked us out, you guys. So you can hear from the house, you can hear the helicopters when they land or the planes and stuff when they're coming over. So we were like, oh my God. Yeah, it was fun. Harry has seen herself.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing more about he and Megan. And I do like it's so typical of Harry. I think it's the typical from Harry was always the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like what Westminster was.
Well, she's the worst.
I just found that out.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know she has a stepsister who's like shopping at Tell-All?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
So it'll be very interesting to see what goes down from here. But congratulations to Harry and Meghan.
But we'll be reporting on all of that in the off season, you guys. We really should because it's just all too good to talk.
And The Crown and Matthew Good. Speaking of good, it is too good. Matthew Good is going to be in The Crown. And let me just say this really quick. Have you guys ever had the person that you saw in your head while you were reading a book series? Have you ever had that book series made into a show or a film and had that person be the who read Discovery of Witches? I have proof from years ago. I think I called it a Discovery of Purgatory is my Discovery of Witches blog. And I'm not even kidding. I have a whole post on Matthew Good and how perfect he'd be with pictures. And he is going to be Matthew. And I'm so excited. All right. Sorry. I'm done.
I didn't really like that book.
I loved the first one. Didn't love the second one. Still have yet to read the third one because I don't want to be disappointed. But I can't wait for the show. And I thought it was going to be a film, but it's going to be a show.
I didn't really like the first one, so I didn't read the second one. Okay, you guys. We got to go because it's late and we got to go to bed because it's school night. And that's it. So tell us what you think in the comments of the blog and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Again, we appreciate your comments more than you will ever know. They're so lovely and so kind. All of the nice comments about Tom, all of the great comments about the show. Keep them coming. We're almost at the finish line. Oh my God. One more episode after this. I know.
I don't know what we're going to do.
I don't know either. We're just going to have to go to Scotland and, stalk everybody, whatever.
I'm doing that anyway.
Lord John, we're coming for you.
And a new friend.
And a new friend. All right, you guys. Time for us to go. We will see you next week. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.